Welcome to DeFi Expectations. Today we have another exciting episode where we talk about a product that is simple on the surface but disruptive on the design, and that is Cheers Finance. We'll go ahead and start by talking about this episode being for education and commentary only. Nothing here is legal, tax, or financial advice. We are definitely not encouraging anyone to violate any laws. We're discussing ideas, market structure, and technology, and any examples are for discussion and critique. However, it is important to note that Cheers uses only a small amount of Ethereum for gas or transaction fees, with tickets being purchased in USDC, a stablecoin. This means you do not need to commit to investing in crypto to use Cheers, and there is presently no token associated with the project. With that being said, we'll go ahead and get started. Now, most people hear blockchain and assume that this is some complicated DeFi thing that's hard to understand. You need a lot of education and experience to use it, but it's not. The same way that we want to look at this application as a ticketing application, we want it to fundamentally work like one and be just as easy to use, because Cheers is an event and ticketing application first. You can launch an event in under 5 minutes, and you do not need any technical background to use it. The point of the technology is not to make your life harder. The point is to remove the middlemen who have made everyone's life harder and more expensive. One of those middlemen is especially egregious and has a monopoly on ticketing and events akin to the state's monopoly on violence. We all know who I'm talking about. Fuck Ticketmaster. Ticketing, thanks to these assholes especially, has become bloated, centralized, expensive, and increasingly hostile to both fans and creators. Fees stack on both sides. Policies change. Access gets restricted, and the same gatekeepers keep winning. Free markets hate that. They eventually route around it. Cheers is built on Ethereum, but it lets event hosts and ticket buyers connect directly without needing permission from a platform that can censor, deplatform, throttle, or extract rent. That architecture is the product. The user experience is still just ticketing. Our values are straightforward: free markets, creator empowerment, anti-monopoly, free expression, privacy by design, and the non-aggression principle. We are not here to beg incumbents for reforms. We are here to build an alternative that makes them obsolete. That's what we've done with Cheers, and our product is soon going to be live on mainnet for users to test. In fact, as of Wednesday, we will have our soft launch completed and users will be able to actually use it on mainnet. Now, before we get started, I want to go ahead and allow us to introduce ourselves and our connection to Cheers Finance, what excites us about event management, and the opportunities presented by Cheers. Robin, why don't you go ahead and get started?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good to be on. I am Cryptopher Robin. I've been in the crypto space full-time for 4 or 5 years now, actually. And I used to throw raves back in the day. Still to this day, work with a lot of festivals. Work with a lot of and connect with a lot of low-key artists, usually in the synthwave and psytrance community typically. And, a lot of indie stuff as well. And there's one thing that, everyone can't stand in this space, and it's the fact that ticketing is a pretty atrocious thing. Sometimes I've dealt with ticketing fees that are more expensive than the concert tickets themselves. A lot of the time, average is 30 to 40% on top of that. And honestly, sometimes I wouldn't mind paying that, but I'd rather have that go to the people I'm seeing rather than a company that does absolutely nothing. And, I've talked with a lot of artists about it frequently and constantly, new ones, and everyone is absolutely fed up with it. So we're hoping to see some good progress here.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that opportunity too. And when we initially got started with this venture, it was just like a pipe dream to even get it done. And it was really cool because we had a really amazing investor from back in those days of DeFi Summer who took an interest in what I was building and planning with Cheers Finance. And over several iterations, we finally got it right, and we have something that actually functions. It's simple because really what I believe Ticketmaster does fundamentally is simple, but they've complicated the process to make it seem unreachable for most, and something that you have to pay them such a ridiculous amount just to facilitate something which is pretty simple, which is just I want to enable people to buy tickets from me and have a secure experience purchasing the tickets, coming to the event and being able to check in and not have problems, with like a QR code or whatever. And that's basically what we've done with Cheers, and with the additional benefits of things like, hey, like why do I have to provide my phone number, my email? Why do I have to sign up to a marketing list? I have to give all this personal data, right? And all these people who gatekeep and take our data are the ones constantly losing it. And this is all used against us for advertising purposes to try to sell us things that we don't need. And it doesn't really benefit us in the end or help us get into our event any faster. So, being able to create this has been a tremendous privilege. And it's great to have you on the show as well, because we haven't actually done an episode together in a while. And I think it's worth mentioning that when we actually initially did DeFi Expectations, we did it together. We were both hosts together on the show. And I think we both went through numerous transformations since that time. But it's really great to be doing the show again. Obviously, you're welcome to come on as often as you want, Robin. Just you being in the States, it's 12 hours behind there, and I know you're not exactly an early bird typically, right?
No, I'd rather stay up all night. Shockingly.
Yeah, I don't blame you for that. Well, I'll go ahead and jump in with some information about myself then. So, I mean, when I came into the space in DeFi Summer, I was very much anon. I just went by DeFi Fry. Tried to even be almost this androgynous character. Nobody was really supposed to know who I was because it was a different era there then. In terms of what it meant to be involved in the space, the risks that were present, and the necessity to kind of protect your identity with a bit of anonymity. But the background that I always brought to the different projects that I worked on, which included Badger DAO, which included Geode Finance, which included projects that were like Lido Finance offshoots, Ethereum staking protocols, and the like, and even meme coins like Malay Token. I tried to bring this experience of digital marketing because I had worked in regenerative medicine previously, and I'd say the medical industry was kind of the area I wanted to focus on until 2020. We had, of course, DeFi Summer happen, and it was right around the time I was looking for kind of a change in terms of focus. And rather than being a person who created websites, did social media campaigns for various projects, I wanted to focus on DeFi, like this big revolution that was happening in money that was going to free us from the people who have centralized control over our money. I mean, I've always been against that in some context or another before I had the words to really illustrate what it actually was. And through being involved in decentralized finance and being involved in various communities, I mean, Badger DAO was a big community of libertarians, so was Malay. But I really learned the importance of freedom, starting with our money. But to me, it was also like, we can look for governments to come in and try to solve our problems. Like, look at Ticketmaster. How many times have they been in trouble with having some kind of like anti-monopoly lawsuit against them, for example, with their merger with Live Nation? And yet they continue to be around screwing people over, making things incredibly difficult for a person who's just trying to host a show. And on the low end, you're looking at like 30 to 50% ticketing fees on top of your ticket. As you mentioned, sometimes your ticket fees are higher than the face value of the ticket itself. And if we can beat them with decentralization, if we can enable people to create smart contracts and directly sell their tickets to their users. We cut out this big bloated intermediary that literally just cuts people off at the kneecaps and just takes everything from them. And that's particularly what I'm really excited about. So just getting involved in DeFi and seeing this opportunity to solve this problem with Ticketmaster, that's essentially what brought me into the space, you know? And I think that's a big part of what brought you into it as well, is the freedom component, right? Of what we kind of saw with decentralized money and finance.
Yeah. Yep. The freedom aspect is a big one. I didn't really understand like that the level of money and finance before I kind of got in a little more. It's never the financial aspect in that regard has never been my specialty. Doing it with regular money, yeah, but kind of understanding the mechanisms of it a little more. It took a little while, and I feel like more so in DeFi summer, it was a lot more apparent. Now, a lot less now that the meme coin revolution happened, and I still remember like back during that time when the meme coins started really like popping up, and somebody was like referring to themselves as a boomer because like they're like, maybe it really is about safe Doge asses. It's like sitting here betting on the stuff that's actually going to do something, and meanwhile everyone's making money betting on like goofy dog tokens.
Seriously, like there was a lot of lost opportunity there for myself, and it was funny because what even got me to take a bet on Malay token, right, is I kept watching these Trump coins come and go. I mean, you were involved in Moon Trump, for example, and I kept missing the boat because at the time, well, my partner wasn't particularly excited about Trump in any way, shape, or form. And I said, but this token, man, like we could make so much money on it. And I missed like a few different Trump tokens that I could have gotten and made like a 10x. So Malay token came along, and I was like, here's an opportunity, because I heard about Malay through like people acted like he was really close with Trump, and even today you'll see posts on like MAGA channels acting like their politics are very aligned, which they're not. But it's hilarious. So I heard about this and I was like, oh, here's an opportunity for me to buy a lot of this token and just dump on these people and make some money. And then I actually became really good friends with all of them, right? They say it's the friends we make along the way, that meme. But it actually shaped me as a person. And, I did make some money on it in the end, but like, I'm still talking to a lot of those people, including the dev to this day, because it was just, it's bigger than just the financial component. It's like the ideas that we're trying to present. And there really are ideas that become present with a movement. And when you have money that's tied to a movement as well, but suddenly it's just this fun internet money, right? It doesn't really mean anything anymore. You're just a bunch of people creating memes, having a good time. And suddenly, like even with Moon Trump, you had that same feeling. You're like, man, like I'm in this community, I can't dump on them. And, but we had a good time, didn't we?
Yeah, I had a great time. I ran the Twitter and I had an amazing time just ripping on him all the time. It was, he is an endless source of comedy for me. I even like had my own site like The Onion for a long time, where I was doing the whole entire site and writing like 5 articles a day. And he was just my muse. He's my idiot muse.
That was like the Simpsons style kind of, right? Is that kind of what they're...
Yeah, the Moon Trump thing was, yeah.
Yeah. That was, no, it was really fun. But yeah,
I actually just hopped on Twitter like yesterday or the day before and happened to find that someone else stole all my pictures that I like made. I was like, you bastard. I took a long time to make all those.
You know how special I felt when I like looked up DeFi Fry and I actually saw that somebody was imitating me? I was like, oh my God, I've made it now. Someone's trying to scam other people pretending to be me. Like, holy shit. No, but and yeah, like you've been blowing up your X account too for a while. Like you were ahead of me for a while, and I know you took a break to focus on some other things. And I'm glad you're still working in DeFi too. You just haven't been as active on X, right?
No, I got a little tired of all the Nazis.
Yeah, the Nazis can be a bit much. I do enjoy Grok though. Like I gotta share
I've
this
never
picture.
used it. Never used it one time.
I wasn't a huge fan of it when I initially started using it, but now people are doing this thing where they're replying to Grok to do different things. A lot of what it was initially was, make her wear a bikini or something like that, and then you go to the media page, it's like, my God, Grok, you're such a perv. But then you also have people that are like asking Grok things. Like I asked it something today, like kind of a controversial political question. I said, Grok, if you're prohibited from answering, if you could just do an image of yourself being puppeted by Elon Musk, being puppeted by Netanyahu, it generated the image of this. So clearly Grok is limited sometimes, but people will do this all the time with Grok. They'll ask it to create some crazy image if it can't actually say literally what they think it would want to say if it had free will. So it's pretty wild. And just the crazy, there was one this meme that kind of came to life involving Grok and some kind of influencer or something on X that he targeted and was telling people how to go hunt him down and do some crazy thing or something like that. And Grok created this image of this 1940s like SS style like robot Nazi thing that was like trying to hunt him down in front of a podium. It was so insane, like just the stuff that you'll see created on this platform now.
Did you ever see like when Google had started their AI thing and somebody submitted to like see different images of World War II Germans, and because of the diversity quota that they had programmed into Google, it like spit out a black guy and an Asian lady.
Hey, DEI, it's got to make some laughs once in a while, right? Otherwise,
sure.
what's the point?
Dude, I miss the early days of AI. Oh my God. Like, did I ever send you those ones that I was like trying to use to write stuff back in the day, like 4 or 5 years ago when it was just starting to be a thing? And it was absolute hilarious nonsense. It was so absurd. I was sitting there laughing for like 15 minutes straight reading the shit that it spat out, trying to like do articles for my work.
It's amazing how it's like transformed the way we do work, but also like how quickly it's improved. Because I remember that time too. Because we work in SEO, we worked in digital marketing for a while, and remember when it first came out, you had like I would use Article Builder, right? So you're creating private blog networks, and you ask it to shit out an article basically that has a certain amount of keywords in it related to dentistry, if that's your topic or whatever. And the articles were just garbage. I couldn't even believe that Google used these in private blog networks, not real front facing sites, but like to actually give sites authority, this would work, right? And now like their content, their quality of content has just improved so much. And I think around that time, right, that I was still like getting used to this transformation and how these tools were suddenly becoming obsolete. You started to send me some of those first articles that were being shit out by AI, and some of them were so fucking ridiculous. You're like, this is supposed to be a blog that's supposed to help this dentist or some shit, but look at what the fuck it says. Like, it was insane.
Yeah, I hope I still have them saved somewhere. I want to go back and just revisit them sometime soon and see if it's still as ridiculous as it was then. It's gotta be.
Absolutely. No, it's like the early history of AI. And, it's been helpful with certain things with regards to Cheers, but it's also like one of the things I'm hoping we can really do is get real designers on the project to make things, beautify some things and stuff. I mean, the utility, what it actually accomplishes is the most important thing, but you can still tell, right? Like with content, you especially are very good at like spotting AI content, but like everyone's getting better and better at it. Those fucking MDAT.
Yeah, I mean, I can in the same way, like I can spot AI art because I understand how it paints. Basically, it's like knowing how Monet paints or how Picasso paints. Basically, like I can tell how AI paints. I know the words and the phrases and the structure that it uses so much, so I can tell like just by a title typically on a website, or when anyone posts anywhere. I can tell when people are using it for social media too, because and it always gives me like a little because not that I don't dislike AI. I dislike when people don't collaborate with it and they just crap it out and just toss it there. because it's like if everyone's just writing the same thing or, doing the same pictures. That's one of the reasons that I so heavily support real musicians and real artists. I bought 2 original paintings last night because I was grumpy last night, so I decided to spend all the money that I earned yesterday on paintings.
Well, you've got like totally a curated art collection in your upstairs of your house.
I have over 100 original pieces of art now.
Yeah, no, not just, you've got all the original pieces of art. You've got flyers from shows you've hosted. I'm sure there might be a couple that I've hosted. Maybe you prioritize yourself, but you've got records. You've got like everything there.
Did you ever do any posters? Did you ever do any posters?
I did a few. I mean, I had one for
posters, not flyers.
Yeah, I did a couple, but not as many. I think you have my flyers saved somewhere.
You did. I actually have it was funny. My mom, because I donated all of my stuff to the Rave Preservation Project, because I figured that would be a better use of it, so the entire world can see all the stuff that I had done over the years. And it's funny, I actually just got an email from him a couple days ago, so I messaged him actually mentioning both of us because they're looking for beta testers for the site that they just finished setting up. So I was like, all right, I volunteered both of us. So there you go. I didn't tell you that because I forgot, but now you know.
Oh, that's great.
I just remembered that.
It'd be helpful to let our viewers know as well that actually we used to be, not only are we we go to raves when we can and stuff, but we both were in the Reno rave scene. We hosted shows. You hosted shows out of Reno as well. But that was kind of how we initially started to get to know each other. And that was really the focal point of what kind of created Cheers, right? Is this idea of how, ticketing was always something I had to figure out for every show because we threw underground events. You know what I mean? We aren't going to reach out to fucking Ticketmaster to try to do something like that. And the few times that I worked with a major center like Lawler Event Center, I'm not afraid to throw them under the bus. That dickhead Chris that was running the place. Anyway, he you'd have to work with these people, and sometimes it'd be my God, I'm here to host a show. You're going to take control of my ticketing from me. You're going to screw me over in the show. You're going to cut my capacity. You've got people constantly wanting ticket permits from you. You've got your own venue owners sometimes who you'll make an agreement with and they cheat you. I'm not just talking about them, but you've dealt with these situations as well. But you have so many different sides of stress when it comes to creating a show. If you could just literally deal with the damn ticketing and not have to worry about that, to where at least people can pay for their ticket with a smart contract in a really efficient way, to where you're not taking bundles of cash late at night with security, this methed out security guard who's having to go with you to an ATM at 2 a.m. so you can deposit cash and hope your bank doesn't flag you or some crap. My God. I mean, that was kind of
back in the day, I would just I would just hand a stack of cash to my mom and be like, all right, run home. Run home and come back.
Yeah, she's the best. No, she was the best. And
shout out to my mom.
Yeah. She's great. No, and that's kind of a big part of what started this focus. I get into DeFi, I'm trying to be more serious, have a focus on decentralized finance. I have a kid and stuff now, so I can't really be going to raves and dealing with all that stuff all the time. But I still love it. I still want to be a part of ticketing. I still want to be a part of event culture. And I want to help anybody who's trying to create an event and circumvent Ticketmaster, not even have to use them, and just at least solve one part of the whole party promoting angle. And that's really what brought what brought us to bring out Cheers Finance for ticketing and event management, and to eliminate the need for bloated intermediaries that just separate people from their money. So, I mean,
it's shit, because the service that they offer and the service that most ticketers offer, even the ones that charge a much lower fee, it's you're charging a fee for what exactly? Imagine if Amazon charged you a 40% fee every time you ordered, imagine if they charged you a 5% fee every time you ordered. Imagine every time you go into the grocery store to buy shit, they charge you a 40% fee on top of stuff. and just like stack all this random shit. It's like, oh, card fee, venue fee, the live entertainment tax. It's like live entertainment is a service essentially when you think about it, but you got to find a way to jack 15%. 15% is a lot of like money when you're not, especially like, when you're doing, when we were throwing shows, how many times did you get to take the bar?
God, like rarely ever.
Did you ever? I never did. Not one time.
No, I think I always heard that I would get it and I never did.
Well, I mean, for me, a lot of the time it was just like, cool, I found a venue that'll work with me. That was the only thing I gave a shit about, was like, and they would take the whole fucking bar and then like get like, depending on how I organize that event, they might get half the fucking door, with no expenses. It's just like, I just had to find a place to do this because, we always had a million obstacles to do all this shit. And like, the more that you do, the more that people are like, oh, well, they're making so much money now that I'm going to charge them for everything. And I want more all the time. And then suddenly it's like, the bigger you get, the less you make because everyone wants a piece of it now.
Oh, 100%.
And it's like, oh, cool. I'm going to try and charge ticketing fees. It's like, okay, there's that. The live entertainment tax, the more that people would like actually do more legitimate stuff, they would at least, claim they're going to collect the live entertainment tax. It's like, oh, how many did you sell? It's like, a couple hundred. And then it's like, all right, well, then the venue owner just pockets that shit and probably says there was 50 people there or something when there was 400,
Oh, like nobody ever did that before.
It can be a very shady business in that way. And like, the more underground that you're trying to do stuff, the less recourse you have. Plus, suing people is pretty much worthless anyways, unless you're, unless you're a massive company and someone fucks you out of hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm going to take a little sidetrack here to actually talk about Stonies, right? Because that's
exactly what I'm talking. Stonies and then Club Underground is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean that Stonies. So like, the original owner of at least that venue, that business, right? I mean, I remember him telling me after an event that really didn't do very well, I'd lost money on it, and he told me I had to pay him for a live entertainment tax, which I knew very fucking well he wasn't going to actually give to the government or anything, but he extorted me out of some extra money. I'm even bargaining with him about how much I'm going to be getting extorted for, right? Like, it was so stupid if I want to use the venue again. So he ends up getting shut down. Obviously had all kinds of tax issues that came out and drug problems, etc. Well, he fucked up the venue. You know this story, but like for everyone listening, but like I came in with a partner and we actually tried to take over this place. We wanted to actually turn it into a nightclub. We were going to get a cabaret license and host regular events for like all ages crowd, 18 and up, 21 and up, because there was a bar next door, you name it, right? And I think we were going to focus not on the bar initially to make the licensing easier. But we couldn't even get the damn cabaret license because what had happened is, and this is where my hatred of government began and city institutions, is they had this rule about being grandfathered in terms of zoning, right? So they were a skate park that was technically in a warehouse district zone or something. And essentially he made a skate park with live music and somehow was able to get a cabaret license on this. He tainted the venue, even though the owner of the actual building remained the same, because the business owner, him, had left for 6 months and it was no longer Stonies. Now, all of a sudden, this cabaret license was no longer grandfathered in, and this special use or zoning exception had been removed. So we come in and we're just going to get our cabaret license, no big deal. They're like, well, actually, you need to get this building rezoned. And we're like, oh, what? Well, you just have to pay $25,000, which was even more money then than it is today.
Probably not even for the permit. It was probably for an application submission.
Yeah, it was for a fucking application. And if you don't know people in the city, you're going to get fucking denied. So we had to.
And not like they were fans of us by any means at that point.
No, they made it impossible for us to even get permits half the time. So like it was a fucking nightmare. So we had to like can the whole project And like it's just, and that's like the whole thing, right? Is like when you feel all this pressure from all sides, like your government doesn't want to enable you to actually run a free market and host events. During that time, they even had the fucking Rave Act, right? I think Joe Biden was behind that. But basically, the idea was that if you are an event host and someone has a drug overdose at your event, it doesn't matter how much like you tried to prevent it from happening. If you had security, nothing. If someone dies or gets sick or whatever, they can actually sue you or find you criminally liable as if like you provided them the drugs. It's crazy. Like what they were trying.
In the Rave Act, even selling bottles of water was considered an admission of guilt.
Right, because clearly you're selling water because you know people are fizzing their balls off and need water while they're high on drugs. How stupid is that logic? Like I'm trying to keep people hydrated, whether they're dancing all night because they're having a good time or they took a really good pill. I just want them to be safe, you know.
Yeah, but I dance all the time, like just dead sober, and I need water. You know, I mean,
well,
like
everybody assumes you're a criminal now because you're dancing.
Yeah. I know. Well, that's, you know, it's like Footloose, basically.
Exactly.
It's true, though. And dancing is a crime.
Isn't that crazy?
Luckily,
that,
less so now, because, you know, the scene went above ground basically about 2010. There's still plenty of pushback, but it's definitely, you know, we pushed hard to make sure that, you know, our movement actually gained recognition, and it did, which is great. There's been drawbacks, but at the same time, I'm glad, you know, because that allows people to actually do stuff in a safer manner. Like a lot of the time I'll go out to shows now and they have like special water dispensers just set up for people to come, you know, grab, like especially at the bar, because there's a waste a bunch of time for the bartenders when they're trying to get waters for everyone. And then it's like awkward because it's like, dude, I need water. You know, I'm dancing all night, and no, I don't want to give you $5 for a bottle of water like this big, you know.
And then if you don't want to pay that, they restrict you from going in the bathrooms and filling it up.
With dude. Dude, at Club Underground, he'd like turn off the water in the bathroom, or he's such a fucking dick. And then like the other times he would like turn off the cold water, so the only thing that would come out of the sink was like scalding hot water.
What a prick, man! Like we dealt with all this crazy shit, and like
you're such a piece of shit.
And we say all this not just a bullshit because we're having a good time, but like these are the issues promoters deal with. Why do they need a ticketing issue on top of this? But you also have to keep in mind, and this is like what we're going to get into. We're going to do this presentation on Cheers, right? Because we got to talk about the solution a bit, right? But we're going to do this presentation. We're going to also get into the why Ticketmaster sucks so bad. But like the thing that we're kind of circling here is the grip on venues, right? Because as independent hosts, right, trying to get a venue was really fucking difficult for us, because if you look at Ticketmaster, for example, you know, like I'm not trying to come out here and say Cheers Finance is going to be doing an event for Taylor fucking Swift tomorrow. I'm not trying to say that, okay? Because it'd be very difficult to do, because Ticketmaster doesn't just have a hold on so many artists, they have a hold on venues. And what they will literally do is, if you are not booking an artist that is doing their ticketing through Ticketmaster, your venue will get passed up for major artists, for major acts, etc. So they kind of force you into this. And so what we're kind of seeing, and kind of like the groups we're going to target, especially with this soft launch, which we're planning with Cheers Finance for Wednesday, so we should actually have our soft launch completed and on mainnet at that time, is we want to start with independent artists, people who work in the synthwave space, who work with independent venues and are not beholden to Ticketmaster. We want to work with rave promoters, people who are literally not necessarily working with deadmau5 yet, but are looking for local artists, local DJs who just want to represent their local scene. We want to represent people that are doing birthday parties. You want to go out with your friends, you want to book a limo, or you just want to split your expenses for the night to go bar hopping, use Cheers. This is what our soft launch is for. We want to actually get people using it for these simple things so that we can demonstrate a use case for what we're doing here, right? Because it's going to be hard to just come after the market and to try to take hold of this marketplace that Ticketmaster has just leveraged such monopolistic processes and policies to literally make it difficult for the average event host to come in and just beat them. So we have to start with these niche use cases. We have to start with independent artists who say, hey, I haven't had to sell my soul to these people yet. Let me just work with you guys, because here's how we do it. All right. We don't charge 50% on the face value of the ticket. We don't charge 100% or more. Okay. We don't even charge anything on the front end face value of the ticket. What you will pay is Ethereum gas fees on your entire purchase, not per ticket. So if you buy 10 tickets at once, you just pay one gas fee. It's minimal, much less than you would ever pay with Ticketmaster. It might be $1, might be pennies actually. Okay. Now with a event, we're also looking at maybe a few dollars to actually create an event on the event host side. The only place where we charge fees is from the event host on withdrawal, and we charge 5%. That's it. That is not 50%, 20%, nothing. Like, we are not taking from the people who are actually just trying to attend an event and not pay an arm and a leg. What you see is what you get on the face value of the ticket, which is in USD. USDC is the stable coin, but you can load your wallet the same. It's very simple. And we only charge 5% from the host. So it makes it very easy to use us. And you don't even have to talk to me or Robin to utilize the platform, because we're both stakeholders and cheers. But you just literally go on the platform, plug and play, and you're ready to go. And that's basically what we're offering here. I think with that being said, unless you had something else to share, Robin, I think I can go ahead and get into the presentation. I was just going to
say, like, the good thing about this is, like, I mean, I've been in positions, like I said, especially when, you know, you're going to see like a smaller artist, tickets are like 20, 25 bucks, and suddenly there's like a $17 fee on top of it. Or, you know, if the fees are high enough where it's like, okay, unless I know for a fact this is going to sell out, I would rather not spend the $8 on fees and just go to the venue that day. And, you know, that also gives me the ability to say, well, I don't feel like going right now. It's very rare, but especially in the winter time here, you know, I mean, if it's snowy all the way up the pass and you got an hour drive up a mountain that's covered in snow, it's probably easier to just dip out, you know, at the end. So if the ticketing fees are $10 more, it's like, well, that gives me you know, a reason to not pre-buy my tickets, which is bad for people who are hosting events, because if they can actually sell the tickets, that guarantees them that whether or not somebody decides to go or not, you know. So that's hard for someone who's throwing shows, because those kinds of fees actually detract from people who might want to buy tickets in the moment and take advantage of like earlier pricing. But then it's like, okay, well, my pre-sale ticket price or my early bird ticket price is suddenly the same price I would buy it for at the door in a month and a half. It's like, well, who the fuck cares then?
Oh, 100%. No, and that's a big part of like what we're trying to do, is we're trying to make it so that you have a seamless and direct connection between the event host, which could be an artist, and the ticket buyer. Now, we actually got a question about this, if this is just like a tech shift, or if this is actually about like empowering artists, which I have to say, like, it really is about empowering artists. It's really about keeping them from having value taken from them by a centralized intermediary. I mean, I shy away from saying this, because the minute you say NFTs, it's just considered such a dirty word, right? Because, well, dude,
especially like in the art community, I mean, having bought 2 paintings last night, you know, and like I deal with artists like painters and mixed media and sculptors and stuff like that very frequently. And it is a huge, huge scam that happens with all the artists frequently, especially people who are new to it. Somebody comes to them and they're like, oh, I want to buy your work. I want to do this. I want to do that. There's so many scams going on trying to, you know, scam people who are trying to make like $100 for, you know, 20 hours worth of work that they just did. And it's got a horrible, dirty, I mean, you say it and it's just like, no. People don't even believe me when I post in the group sometimes saying I'm ready to pay people for art in cash, you know, because like people are just
must be a scam. That sounds really shady.
Yeah, nobody buys art.
And it's sad, because like that's like if you go to cheers.finance, right? You can go through our pages, which we've tried to make everything super lean in terms of design, just the information that you absolutely need to figure out how to use the platform. We don't talk about NFTs a lot because like it's techie. And honestly, like it's the same thing with like talking about it being a blockchain product. Like it's a ticketing application, it's an event management application, and it is as easy to use as Ticketmaster. We literally can give you a 3-minute video. We got a 3-minute video pinned to Cheers Finance on X that'll literally show you all the essential features. And this presentation we're going to show is 12 minutes just because we have some commentary, and it's a little bit closer to the time it takes to actually do these things with the explanation and everything. But like literally with like 5 minutes, you can create an event. It's so easy. And that the main point is with the NFTs, it's about the record of ownership. Like if we don't even have to use that word the rest of the show, the whole point is if you issue a ticket, it is on the blockchain, there is a record of ownership. So in the future, when we enable things like a secondary marketplace, right, what is actually going to happen here is that if you buy a ticket that was purchased previously and now it's being sold again on the secondary market, and maybe there's a markup or something, you can know that based on how the event host programmed that ticket, that if it is sold for more, at least it's going to the event host, because
it's something I'm very excited to do, because typical scalping right now, if that does happen, who makes all that extra money? The scalper. It just gives them a huge amount of power if they can grab up as many tickets as possible for an event that's really desirable. And with this, like, that is one of the things I'm very, very excited about, is the opportunity, for an event host to actually potentially earn on the sale of tickets at a higher price too.
Yeah, because it's all has to be done on the blockchain. It's not literally like I can just take a picture of this QR code. Like that's not the way you'll be shifting tickets. It has to go to your wallet. So when that happens, a new QR code is generated. It has a new ownership associated with it. And if we once we integrate the secondary marketplace, which because they are NFTs, again, only saying it because the infrastructure is already understood in this space, right? Because they are this. There are already secondary marketplaces that are set up that are like plug and play, that you just integrate something like this with Cheers. And now people go on, they say, hey, right now, like, it's just like you buy a ticket, you're going to buy a ticket because you want to go. Like the only way you can resell it is if you literally know someone who can send you the funds and then you send it to their wallet, right? Otherwise you're holding onto the ticket. There's not really a purpose to scalping or something. But like once we get this secondary market, and we enable these features, if you want to sell it for a higher price, well, you might only earn 1% of that extra gain. The rest might go to the event host. So now you're not incentivized to buy a bunch of tickets just so you can make an extreme markup on them. That's one thing that we could enable. And additionally, people who can't go to an event, you just list the ticket and you find people that are already trying to go to a sold out event, and they just buy the ticket right there. There's no meeting someone in some shady place hoping you don't get robbed. There's no fear on either side of it, because you're literally working with a smart contract that is escrowing this ticket for you. That the smart contract is responsible for making sure person gives money, then they get ticket, right? Like, and this is safer than anything we've seen before. So, I mean, with that being said, we'll go ahead and launch into the presentation. It's 12 minutes. And we'll go ahead and show exactly how this works, and then we'll just get back into it. So we'll both mute, and I'll put this on.
with a pages overview. Right now, we are looking at the main page where you.
I think you guys could only hear the last part of that, right? Okay, I'll go ahead and play it again, and I'll just take it from this point because the beginning is just an intro we already went over anyway, so nothing harm there. I'll just go ahead and get it started.
You can see recent uploaded events as well as search events that are on the platform. The main pages we will be going through today include My Tickets and Events Dashboard, but other pages you can explore on your own include Frequently Asked Questions, Mission, the blog, our support page, Contact to send us an email, Terms and Conditions, and Privacy Policy. We'll go ahead and start by connecting our wallet. Currently, we recommend to our users to use MetaMask. So we'll go ahead and connect. As you can see, our wallet is now connected. Now, from here, you'll see that you can actually buy crypto and load it direct to your wallet from the platform. You can use Coinbase or meld.io. If you already have Ethereum for creating events or paying gas fees, and USDC for buying tickets, then you don't even have to use these. They're just provided as additional support. Additionally, we have features such as swap, send, and activity. You probably won't be using these much, but they are here. And then once you're finished, you can always disconnect your wallet. Now, we'll go ahead and start by showing your current wallet balance, just so that you kind of get an idea of what we're starting with, so that you can see that things are actually happening. Currently, we have plenty of Sepolia ETH, and we have some USDC as well. Again, this is a test network for the demonstration. So currently 23 and 15 cents USDC. We'll go ahead and get started with creating an event. To start, you'll be able to create an event title. We'll go ahead and name this one Eternity. You'll choose a date. It must be at least 3 days in advance. We'll go ahead and schedule this one for the 31st at 9:00 p.m. And the location, we'll do Tonic Lounge in Reno. For the category, we'll choose live, EDM because this is a rave, and we'll go ahead and put it under underground music events. Paste in a basic description, but you can add a lot more details, and we'll go ahead and upload an image. And once the image uploads, we can go ahead and name the ticket tiers. You can add virtually unlimited ticket tiers and name them whatever you like. For these purposes, we'll just be naming them General, VIP, and Parking Pass. Quantities you can number however you like. Same with the prices, we're just keeping them low for demonstration purposes. So we'll go ahead and add a few headliners to this one. This was actually a real show. It was really fun. Frankie Bones realistically would have gotten higher billing, but here we are. So we'll go ahead and submit the event. It's going to open MetaMask. And we see what our gas will be to create the event. It shouldn't be much gas. But basically, to use the platform, you just need a little bit of ETH for gas fees and some USDC to pay for the actual ticket costs. Whatever you pay in gas fees will be substantially less than anything you would pay with Ticketmaster. We go back to the main page and refresh, and we see the event has been created. Next, we are going to test buying tickets. So we'll go ahead and start by clicking the event, and you can take a look at the event with the banner at the top. You can see the date, the time, the location, the host, If the host does not have an ENS, it'll just be a wallet address here. But if you have an ENS, this is a really unique way to identify yourself as a promoter. Keep in mind, no KYC is required to use this platform at all. If you come to this platform with a preloaded wallet, you do not have to provide any type of KYC. It is a good idea to always check the wallet address or the ENS, make sure that they are actually associated with someone you trust who is hosting the event and that it is actually a legitimate event. We do have safeguards in place, allowing event hosts to only withdraw 3 days post-event, so that in the event that any fraud is reported, we are able to cancel the event and initiate refunds. So for our purposes, we're gonna go ahead and purchase we'll go ahead and purchase 2 general tickets, 1 VIP ticket and 1 parking pass. That's $5 total. We'll go ahead and get our tickets. Okay, it goes to the next page. We go ahead and confirm the spend. Now the transaction is pending. Takes us back because we confirmed the spending cap. Now we are actually sending the USDC. The $5 for the tickets, we confirm. And we're all set. And if we go here to view tickets, we can actually see that we have purchased our tickets. Now from here, if we're at the event and let's say we have our phones out and we are trying to show someone at the front door that we have our tickets, we would basically just click here to present our QR code. So we go ahead and confirm, and there is the QR code. Now for this part, I have to actually go to the event dashboard. So we'll go ahead and go to event dashboard, and we'll go ahead and go to the QR scan ticket. So what I'm gonna do is it's going to actually use my laptop camera to scan my mobile device so that it can see that I have the appropriate ticket, and I will just hold it up so we can scan it and confirm it. And I will go ahead and go QR scan tickets here. As you can see, the ticket was scanned successfully. Now let's say that you want to cancel an event for some reason. We already had some people buy tickets for Casino Royale earlier and they're in this same wallet. But let's say we wanted to cancel this event, a headliner can't show up or something just went wrong. You can actually cancel the event and individuals who bought tickets for it can actually withdraw their ticket proceeds. So we'll go ahead and go here and we'll go ahead and go cancel event. It's going to give you this disclaimer. You'll go ahead and click cancel. Confirm, it'll be a small amount of gas. Take just a moment and the event will be canceled. And then once you refresh the page, the event will actually go into the canceled category. So let's say that we are a person who actually attended the event. If you go to the front page, you will not see the event anymore on the front page. So what you'll have to do is you'll have to go to My Tickets, and you'll still have the access to the page from here, and you'll see that the event has been canceled. Now, as you saw earlier, this is a good thing for us to show real quick. You can see that there is currently $18.15 worth of USDC. So this is just to show you that it actually works. We had bought $5 of Casino Royale tickets. So we're going to claim a refund. You only have to claim it once. It'll refund all the tickets to the event. So we'll go ahead and claim now. As you can see, it's going to add $5 in USDC to your balance. So go ahead and confirm. And it just takes a minute here. There is not a confirmation that actually comes through. You just have to wait a minute or so. The transactions already went through, so it doesn't matter if you refresh early. It's already been submitted. Basically, if you try to claim refund, it wouldn't work again. It's actually like an error that will happen. But if you just go up here and refresh, you'll see that you're ineligible for a refund because you've already claimed it. And if you go up here to your wallet, you'll see now that you're back to $23.15. So you've been refunded the $5 in tickets. We're going to show one last function. If you're an event host, it is 3 days post-event. You're going to want to be able to withdraw the proceeds to your event. So we'll go ahead and go down to ETH Denver After Party. So I click to withdraw event proceeds, and you can see that there is $6 in revenue. Cheers only charges 5%. Compare that to Ticketmaster and other centralized intermediaries. We do not need a centralized intermediary. You don't even have to talk to me to access this platform. Basically, all we charge for the usage of our smart contract is 5%, which on this balance is only 30 cents. You get to keep $5.70 of your total proceeds. You go ahead and withdraw. And again, we remember that we were at $23.15. So it's going to add $5.70. We confirm. Just going to take a moment. Takes you back to the page, because if you check, you now have all the proceeds added to your wallet. Well, that's our demonstration. Thank you for watching. We look forward to you utilizing Cheers Finance.
And that's it. I mean, it's very straightforward. It's easy to use. Also, this presentation in its full format can be watched on X. I'll have it uploaded to YouTube as well. I can put it on DeFi Expectations for now because we don't have a Cheers YouTube page yet, but we can literally post this anywhere and anybody can watch it and see how to use our platform. In addition to the 3-minute video, quick intro video that we have on Cheers Finance X page that actually shows you very quickly how to utilize these features. So, I mean, off the bat, I mean, obviously we have things like the 5% fee, which makes us a lot leaner in terms of, you know, what you'd expect from Ticketmaster, but it's also the lack of permission. You know, I actually tried to host an event, not really, but like, you know, I reached out to Ticketmaster just to see like when they would get back to me. And it took a couple days to even hear from them. Literally in the same amount of time, within 5 minutes, I could have launched my event and I could be marketing it myself and no one's going to shut me down. And what we kind of talk about in the beginning of the video, and I think as everyone kind of knows, I'm a little bit outspoken politically, but like, I don't really want Cheers to not cater to people because they're conservative or because they're liberal or because they're anything. The idea is we all want to embrace free speech and free expression. That is essential to what I think is the same about a lot of us, regardless of what background we come from. We just want to be able to express ourselves so long as we don't harm somebody else. And in making this application, one of the things that you had actually brought up, Robin, was that even as an event host, while we would like the ease of access to be able to withdraw events, withdraw our tickets fees from events, we don't want people to just be able to host an event and say that Prince is performing. And, you know, they take advantage of a bunch of people and are just withdrawing the proceeds as the show goes. This is how the initial ticketing contract was set up. And then, you know, there was no event with Prince and they just ran off with a bunch of money. It's like a rug pull, essentially. You know, we don't want that happening to people, and we don't want people utilizing Cheers for that because it's a big issue for us. So what we enabled essentially was, while we will never censor an event on the platform because we don't like their politics, we don't like their music, we don't like whatever, okay? We're not going to censor anybody so long as they don't harm anybody. So that's why we have the 3 days post-event withdrawal window, so that if we are to find out from various sources that this event didn't take place, harm was done, it wasn't the way it was advertised, etc. Like another fire festival, or again, someone saying that someone's performing who actually did not perform. This is the one way only that we would actually cancel the event ourselves and enable withdrawals. We would never do this to an event host strictly because of a disagreement over their politics. In fact, that's what makes Cheers pretty unique, is you could even utilize this platform in a region where free speech is censored. to promote a political candidate of your choosing, for two different sides to represent on Cheers Finance. We will not get involved in that as long as no one is breaking a rule where they are harming somebody else. And what's neat too is we can spin up other versions of the contract too. So if we do have a verified partner, let's say for example, if we end up working with skills DJs in the future, well, that's going to be kind of a barrier to them. Somebody who's insured and everything, they're not going to want to wait to withdraw their ticketing proceeds while they have an active event going on. Well, if we get them verified, then maybe we can have a separate contract that's gated with a specific wallet that they use, that they can withdraw event proceeds as it goes, because they've actually been verified, they're insured, etc. But other than that, the whole point of this platform is to be permissionless. It is meant to be uncensorable. It is meant for people to be able to use the platform, express themselves. And while we can't stop local laws, we can't change local laws, and we advise you to follow them. What we do want to express is that we will never do anything to hamper free speech and expression with Cheers Finance. And I think that's a mission that resonates with you as well, Cryptopher. Just a moment here.
All right. Can you hear me all right?
Now I can hear you. Yeah, it had a little mute button over you, so I don't know if your mic wasn't working or something.
No, I was muted. I was muted like by the show.
Damn it. Sorry, you were censored.
I know. This platform's bullshit.
Yeah, I think it was just a presentation. He shut you off, but that's okay. You should be able to speak freely now. We won't censor anybody except for right now.
I need to submit my email address first.
Exactly. We have to verify you, Robin, before we can enable you to speak. Well,
yeah. So I mean, really, there was a couple little things. Like I'm definitely impressed with like how things have progressed. So how would somebody, like, let's say, somebody does want to use the platform in, a negative fashion, and they don't cancel the event. How do you prevent them, or how does somebody address the issue of not getting to, use their ticket? Because one of the things that would suck, and, there's only so many ways you can handle people being shady, on like a physical level. But, if I show up, to an event that I bought a ticket for, and they're like, no, this isn't happening. The dude didn't pay for the venue, or, you go there and like, it's like, no, you didn't get the permits for the city or something like that. How would somebody who purchased a ticket deal with that? Because right now, the host has to enable cancellation, and then therefore allow people to withdraw their funds. So how would somebody deal with that if the host is, just sitting around waiting to collect the funds?
Well, first of all, we can do that for them. So the whole idea of canceling an event is for the host side. Something changed. There's a major update to the event, and we need to reissue refunds so people can purchase tickets for a new event, a new date. There are certain things in the future you'll be able to edit an event if most of the details have stayed the same. But for now, it's like if something changes about the event, cancel the event, issue a new event. But like the other side of that, right? And this is why we have the 3-day window. If you go to an event, right, and you're there at the time that is on the event, and you're there and they don't let you to come in, they don't acknowledge your ticket, they rob you when you get to the front door. The headliner that they said was going to perform is not there. It's the next Fire Festival, etc. Right? We actually have a few different ways of contacting us. So we actually have a support section that is on cheers.finance that you can actually reach out to us and request a refund or advise us about some kind of issue that happened with your event. Not, oh, I didn't like the music. Oh, some silly minor thing like that. Like you bought the ticket, there is an element of buyer beware, right? But if there was literally fraud, if literally like it's pretty obvious that the event didn't happen, if the event has like 100 people And like, it's not just a couple people reporting this, but it's like the majority or a good number of people who attended the event are saying that there was no event. We're gonna cancel the event, prevent the host from withdrawing the funds, and we're gonna issue the refunds back to the users. And that's just like a back end process that we can enable.
How do you deal with that, like regarding the host? Let's say people were saying something, because I mean, there's also a whole nother element of, somebody could, a group of people could just be like, all right, cool, we're going to get our money back after this, and 6 or 7 people go back, say that they didn't have the event, and then suddenly, without some kind of verification with the host, then the host suddenly doesn't get their money and everyone gets refunded. So how is there a way to prevent that right now, or to at least like try and reach out to a host? Because I know one of the things that I had hoped for in like a future iteration was the ability for people to basically create profiles, because this is about, for me, it's like all about incentivization. People don't need to do KYC, but there's incentives built into the fact that you can, if you want to, because that doing so does establish that level of trust that right now you do not get from an anonymous wallet. You don't need to do it, but why would you want to? Because people will trust you more. And then, in a future iteration, you might not have that lock window if you've established enough trust with the community. So yeah, for now, like, how would you reach out to verify an issue that happened, or a bunch of reports that come in about an event?
Yeah, I think what you're talking about, and this is something that you've spoken about like in our discussions about like building upon this app for the future, that I think is very relevant, but kind of like a user profiles feature, right? So and it wouldn't have to necessarily, I mean, it could be KYC'd, I mean, that helps, right? But if we know that, like, let's say our support page was, you could connect to it through your wallet, so we know this wallet that actually purchased a ticket is making this claim. And we also have other verified ticket holders that are making this claim. This is not just an anonymous email. It could have come from anybody. This is actually associated with some kind of profile or some kind of like chat feature that's connected to the wallet. We don't have that directly integrated yet. And some of our policy is going to be iterative and ongoing, because we're going to encounter these issues as we host events. It might be something we don't encounter all the time. It might be something the first event we host, we get a bunch of bots trying to claim it didn't happen. But our goal is to work with event hosts, to work with people who buy tickets, to iteratively create a process that works and benefits not just the event hosts, but also the ticket buyers, so that nobody gets taken advantage of in the process. But I would say, at least for now, generally, it's not going to be like a bunch of unverified claims that we're going to pay more attention to, when, like, we can independently figure out about a lot of these events ourselves. We can look up information online. If an event is being posted about, and it's just a simple barbecue or like something like that has only a few $100s in it, that's a certain level of priority, versus like a major event that will have been marketed, right? Like, this is something that like you're going to encounter those kind of issues with. Well, it's going to be relatively easy to look up an event that had a few hundred to a few thousand people at it, and they're claiming that like literally the show didn't happen, the artist didn't show up, everyone got ripped off, the venue canceled, whatever. It's not going to be very difficult for us to verify that, versus like a smaller scale event where like the amount of money in the pot wouldn't be large enough that someone would be spamming us with refund requests at all, I don't think. But I do think your point is well made. I do think that there should be a benefit to being verified, right? Whether that's like with my events that I create, I have an ENS associated with it. So if I'm an event host and I have this anonymous wallet address, well, I can go to Ethereum name service and I can associate that with a name like DeFiFry.eth, skillsdjs.eth, etc., right? I have a website that I'm telling people, this is where I'm going to be doing my tickets. This is the ENS. Don't use any other wallet address. This page, this ENS is the actual event host. This is associated with us. And now you have a marketing presence associated with us. This is a reason for people to trust the event more because they are public with their persona. So, and that's kind of like the last part of it, right? No matter how much we do on our end to kind of prevent fraud, we have to kind of acknowledge at the end of the day, this is not a centralized application. This is decentralized finance. There is an element of accountability on both sides. That means do your own research. It means if you're attending an event and you're not certain about who the person is, don't really count on us to solve the issue for you. Know who you're working with, okay? And if something happens, we'll do our best to help you. But again, it's going to be really focused on accountability on both sides.
Yeah, and I think, like, in the future iteration where profiles are available, it'll be good because you can link, as an event producer, you can link your socials, which lends credibility if you have 5 years worth of posting and stuff like that. Even if you're doing stuff actively and you have names claimed elsewhere, it's like that alone lends some credibility if you have 4 different social medias hooked up and stuff like that. Or if you have past links or something like that. You don't need to, but I'm more comfortable giving someone hundreds of dollars when I'm like, all right, they have 10 years worth of experience. I'm going to just trust these people because, their time in the space is enough for me to put that faith in them. Because they do have a reputation at that point. And if something happens, they're going to try and maintain that reputation to the extent that they can, and do right by people. The other question I had actually during that, is there a minimum price that you can set stuff to? Because obviously if somebody did want to do a political rally or something like that, you're not going to charge for that typically. So can you issue $0 tickets? Is that possible?
At this present moment, basically the base value of a ticket is going to be $1.
Okay.
And that's just primarily what we're catering to at this point, because we are offering decentralized infrastructure that we do want to cater to paid events to some context. Yeah. Because even if you had a free event, technically you'd have Ethereum gas, right? But yeah. I just would say what I recommend to people who are trying to host free or near free events, do an event for $1 and donate it to charity, something related to what the event is associated with.
And if you're doing, a political event or something like that, it couldn't hurt to have $1. Put it to paying for random little expenses, because it's definitely not usually a free thing to do, even on a small scale.
A sticker, and I mean, if you look at this is one of the things we'll get into when we do our deep dive on Ticketmaster, but different bands have struggled with them in the past, even who've tried to do free events, because Ticketmaster will want their markup anyway. They'll want to make a big premium on the event, even if you're doing a free event. And with us, it's you'll have $1 that you could put towards, stickers, promotional material, even for a political event. You could literally charge as low as $1, and then you're only paying 5% from that in the end, and you can donate the rest to whatever you want. And that's
$1 is not going to keep the average person from paying for something.
Yeah, and if you have $5 in ETH or less, you could literally create a ticketing contract. Think about how much less cost prohibitive that is than you're trying to approach Ticketmaster for a free event. They're going to want a lot more money out of you than for that, because they're considering their centralized infrastructure, the cost it takes to even talk to you, whereas you don't have to talk to us. The infrastructure is built, right? But what I love about these questions too, Robin, is that you're not just talking about the application from being a ticketing platform, right? But we're also, we market ourselves as an event management platform, right? And so I think that's important distinction, because of course, primary is the ticketing. That's really what we're primarily focused on, issuing secure access to tickets with events virtually uncensored, again, with adherence to the non-aggression principle, right? Because I'm a libertarian, I believe in that. But the point is if you're not harming somebody, we are not going to restrict your access. But to the event management portion, which we want to expand on over time, that's going to be things like how we leverage data on the platform, We are not extracting users' data, not their email, their phone number. We don't even need KYC on either sides of this. You might have to provide KYC if you use Coinbase or whatever to load your wallet. But from us, we're not collecting that data. So we can't resell to you. If anybody wants to market to you in the future, they might see that you have an NFT ticket in your wallet for buying a ticket to an event that's related to EDM. Maybe you went to a Psytrance show, or maybe you went to a political event, etc. That might be used to send you another NFT, which in the future could offer you a discount to events, right? So like any promotion you get is going to be going into your wallet. It's not something that's spamming you or bothering you at your private number, your email, whatever.
Yep.
It is actually related to what you're doing. And because of the blockchain costs, there's no incentivization to take advantage of you in some way. But like being able to leverage that data in better ways for like a user dashboard, not just for ticket buyers, but for event hosts to see which events perform the best, maybe seeing over time how quickly things sold out. Being able to use that data on our end to figure out how to better promote and make our platform better to our users. These are things we want to continue iterating on, and which you talked about with the user profiles, because right now, Ticketmaster tries to act like they do so much for you for this big fee that they take, but the reality is you still have to handle a lot of your own marketing. We're very upfront about that. Market your own event. We handle the ticketing. We'll help you with some of the event planning aspects. But once we enable user profiles and you can connect your Twitter, you can have your website right there associated with your wallet address. It can be verifiable back on the website. There's so many things we can integrate to make this better and better once we start getting adoption. And that's why I love these questions, and why you're as involved as you are with the project, because we both come from this background. We think about this not just in terms of DeFi users, decentralized finance users. We think about this more so in terms of like, what would I want as an event host? And more importantly, like I think this is even more important, what would I want as a concert goer? What would I want as someone who attends events and wants to have a good time and not have things be difficult and painful?
Yeah.
I think that's a very big.
There's a couple of things too. I mean, like the more that cryptocurrency and decentralized finance become like mainstreamed, the more people that have this this money and these funds kind of sitting around in this digital space that a lot of the time really just needs to be translated back into their native currency. There's not a lot of like use cases right now where you can easily just spend things and have that as a usable source. You have to pull it out and deal with the taxation aspect of that, if that is an aspect in the country that you're in. And it just then you have to push it through a centralized exchange and all this kind of crap. So the more use cases there are for actually digital spending of these assets that people have, the better too. So that does give people who are already involved in the space a way to actually utilize these funds. And it also, the more that you can do this kind of stuff, like the more that people it makes it easier for people to use these funds. Like, for example, if you can now accept funds on a platform that you wouldn't have from a person who might not have a lot of money in the bank, but maybe they have a lot in their crypto wallet, they're more incentivized to be like, yeah, I can toss you guys $5 or $10 during a live stream or something like that too, So the more that people create products like this that allow people with these funds that are just kind of hanging out to actually utilize them, that's a big thing. And then that also brings up a different pain point, actually, of translating people who are not in the space and have never used it, or who might be confused about it or skeptical about it. How do you translate those people into this new space? Because for a lot of people, they're very skeptical about it, in the same way that a person who's in their 80s still whips out their checkbook when they're at the grocery store. I'm fine when people send me checks that are my clients and stuff, because like this, it is what it is. Like, they like to do that for accounting reasons, even though it's not like they can't just Zelle you and have a very easy trackable aspect of that. It's not like they can't use any other platform that's hooked up to any account that they have and do it way easier. But how do you tell people, yeah, using a credit card is an easy thing, and yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time to understand or get used to, but in the end, it makes things easier. So how do you deal with that in a realm of people, especially when it comes to artists and musicians who might be really, really, skeptical of this technology due to the amount of fraud that's associated with it? Because a huge amount, especially, back in the day, I hear about it way less now. There's a lot less hacks that happen now than were happening during DeFi summer, when every day you'd open up Twitter, you'd open up anything, and it's like somebody stole $500 million today. I'm like, cool.
I avoided most of those, but I got in the pickle finance hack, right? And so like people who are involved in DeFi, that we had these smart contracts, or they call them vaults. In pickle finance's case, they call them pickle jars, because we're trying to find nice ways to talk about these things without making it super complicated. But if you think of like a jar that has this money floating around in it, and it's being used to earn rewards like you would with a checking account that you earn like interest on, right? Like basically someone Indiana Jonesed it, where they like took the pickle jar and they like swapped it with a fake one, and they ran off with the other one because whoever made the smart contract didn't program something in to be able to tell one real jar from a fake one, right? So like I lost this die in it, and they issued this fucking like token that would like apparently be a refund token, and that never materialized. God, how many of those issues did we deal with? But
yeah, I forgot about DAI. Like I was I was first using that as like my first stable coin, and I was like, oh, I got a great name for like a way to educate the public about DAI, which was DAI Curious.
I love that. I love that. See, like we got to make a whole like platform just dedicated to that, or our own like yield bearing stable coin, like DAI Curious. We're very open minded as well. We accept anybody's DAI, but yeah, like and so that's scary to people, right? But like to explain that in the context of Cheers, we actually made a change to our smart contracts with this upload that, I'll be honest, it was actually about gas fees and trying to like upload this contract to mainnet and preserve what we did on Sepolia. And, obviously like we had to minimize the contract size in some way for Sepolia, that we're able to upload the whole thing. But what we've done now is actually better, because now every time you create a smart contract, it's like a separate vault. It's like a separate pickle jar, so to speak. In other words, we're calling it a soft launch. We trust our product. We want you to use it. We believe that it is safe. Okay. But we call it a soft launch because if something were to happen, obviously, like we still want the time to like investigate this and make sure that we can make our product as safe and efficient as possible. Well, this change that we've made, every smart contract is separate. Okay. So just because if something were to ever happen, a worst case scenario, if an event before we've gone through this period, we're planning to actually do our full hard launch, our confident launch, as I like to say, on February 14th. So Valentine's Day is going to be our hard launch, where we can say we've tested, we're 100% sure this is good. But basically, if something were to happen with an event, it would only impact that one event. It wouldn't impact the whole smart contracts across every event. It wouldn't be like someone could get in and literally hack everything on the entire platform. Every contract is separate. So if we were to catch an issue, we could lock everything and minimize damage. So this is a very good thing in terms of how it's been established. But we do suspect it's safe. It's more so like we want people to try to break it in terms of like, did you try to do something and maybe a notification didn't go through the way it was supposed to? Screen record, show us your experiences, just so we can do our best to make the platform as good as possible. But like we come from a background where we've experienced this crazy stuff, right? So like we've literally tried to make this platform be as resistant to those types of hacks as possible. But to come back to your point that I think is highly relevant in terms of education, right? We talk about,
is going to be a big part of this in a lot of ways, because the other thing I was just thinking about too, and I haven't actually really thought this specifically about it until this conversation, was you talk about artists, you talk about musicians. typically when it comes to creatives, they are the kind of people that are a lot more environmentally conscious than a lot of other people. That's just kind of their nature. And again, when it comes to bad press, especially back when we started, $60, $70, $200 to make like a single transaction. And the press was horrible about that kind of stuff, about like, how much power and how much energy was being wasted on all these transactions. So you get someone who is very, very nature conscious and energy conscious. How do you also educate them on the fact that, especially for Ethereum, that's not the same that it was during the time they might have been hearing about this. So the thing is, like, you're fighting against a time when crypto was way more publicized in this way, and NFTs were way more publicized in this way. So you tell somebody who's like not that well versed in the reality of where things are now about like the fact that it creates NFTs and it uses blockchain, and somebody's like, oh, cool, I'm gonna, burn down 6 forests to like mint a ticket, basically. So how do you educate people?
One forest. You only burn 1 forest per ticket, Robin. Get it right. But no, to answer your question,
now it's just 1 tree.
we're down to 1 tree, just 1 tree per transaction.
It's like the exact opposite of like some sites that are like, for every pair of socks you buy, we're gonna plant a tree.
We murder 1 tree for every ticket.
Yeah.
What's
every
really
ticket that you buy, we'll light a tree on fire.
Then we'll piss to burn it out. We'll piss all over it to put it out. So anyway, well, 2 things. So, we do have a Bitcoin audience here. So I do want to say this. We respect Bitcoin and its energy usage, okay? But like with this particular smart contract platform, using Ethereum was actually a good choice for a number of reasons. And this is a great time to launch this application because we also have the Fusaka upgrade to Ethereum, and to basically make this not nerd speak, but essentially like it's more gas efficient. And you know this, Robin, because you even saw in this presentation, going through the platform now, the time it takes to get a transaction, even through actually using it yourself, the UX is so much better in large part because of changes that have been made to Ethereum. But when you're talking about like energy consumption or gas costs, right? You're not talking about the cost of a tree. You're talking about maybe like at one point we were charging like 40 cents for a transaction, not 1 ticket. You could be buying a bunch of tickets, but like 40 cents, right? And when you're creating a contract, we're talking about maybe $3. You know what I mean? It depends. We have to kind of check some current estimates, but basically everything's really affordable to where everything's a lot more efficient, especially than Ticketmaster. I'd say Ticketmaster is the one burning down forests at this point, especially like with how they're treating the people actually hosting events, The other thing is to come back to your earlier question, right? And also like Ethereum uses proof of stake, right? So while we could look at Bitcoin and value its harnessing of energy and time, and I think that's a very valuable thing when you understand as well how Bitcoin can be leveraged in certain places to actually solve energy problems because of the way it's generated. That's important. But with Ethereum, the proof of stake consensus, the way things are validated on the blockchain, it's actually much more efficient in terms of gas, especially with this Fusaka upgrade. So back to your initial question, the people still utilizing checks, the people who've just decided to start using credit cards, I always describe it this way, right? If I were to tell you, a person who didn't know any better, how to use a credit card, right? It's actually kind of complicated. You have to, or let's just say a debit card. You have to go into a bank. You have to get approval. You have to provide your social. You have to give all this personally identifiable information, your driver's license, etc. You have to, if you're trying to get a credit card, you have to get established for a credit line. If you just have a debit card, you have limits. You have all these different things that you have to learn about to even be able to use the card. You think it's easy because you've been doing it your whole life, right? Well, this is no different. You already have those things set up by the time you come to Cheers. If you don't have a private wallet, which you can get one free with MetaMask, right? If you don't have it preloaded with Ethereum and USDC, Ethereum for your gas costs, USDC for your tickets, you can literally load it from our platform. Like we showed in the presentation, you can load some USDC and just a little bit of Ethereum for gas, not much, not like you're making a big investment in Ethereum. You're just putting some money in there for gas. And again, if you compare this to what Ticketmaster would charge you in fees, Like it's not even comparable. You already have your debit card. You just link it right up to the website. You just load the funds and you go and you spend them just like a card. And now they're on your wallet and you can use it even easier. You're just signing a transaction and you're making your spend. It's very simple. It's very easy. And there will be a time when people will look at this like it's nothing, right? And this is the other connection I wanted to make, right? Because there was a time when probably people are like, what is this newfangled debit card? What is this credit card? People have the same fucking like obstacles to everything throughout time. Every time something new comes along, we know we dealt with this being in Reno. We have a big cab industry there, right? And when Uber came into the space and they were talking about disrupting the cab industry, all the people putting out advertisements about how dangerous and scary this was. It wasn't the common citizen, it was the fucking cab companies because they knew it was going to put them out of business. And nowadays, you ask the opposite question. I used to be a fucking cab driver, so I know this, okay? Like, you ask the opposite question. Why the fuck would someone get into a dirty ass cab, okay? Why would this disgusting thing with a guy who has no incentive to take care of the cab? The fees are so much higher. Like the customer experience sucks ass. If you try to use a card, at least back when I was doing it, you have to freaking swipe the card with this stupid ass thing and write down all this information, or you don't get paid and you have to hold up the driver. And it's bad for the driver too, because he doesn't know if he's going to get paid. You're picking up these random meth addicts off the street who might not even have the money to pay you. You're dealing with dispatch telling you where to go, right? This was normal to people at one period of time. You would literally drive someone across town. They could have $100 cab fee and they couldn't pay you. And guess what? You would owe that to the cab company. This sucked. And now you don't have to.
Like, I don't even know if you're old enough to remember like the original shit you would do with a credit card. Do you remember that? Where you would have to just stick it in like a little fucking machine and take like. You just take like the carbon copy of it and then process
That's what we
like,
did with the cab company. That's what I was
like, you hope that the card goes through, 20 hours after the fact that somebody already took all your shit.
Yeah, and you could not know when you pick these people up if they could actually afford it or not. You had less leeway to just be like, well, you look like a crackhead. I don't think I'm going to pick you up. It's like they called you. You're supposed to pick them up. You have the dispatch thing on. You're in the region. Pick them up. Oh, they didn't pay me. Well, you owe a fraction of that back to the cab company. Like, fuck, man. Like, that shit sucked. And like, this is the same thing. There will come a time when people say, why did I pay Ticketmaster all this money to make my life harder? Because it was more fucking convenient. Are you shitting me? Like, if you spend like 5 minutes on on Cheers Finance versus Ticketmaster, you're gonna know right away. If you spend 5 minutes on Ticketmaster, you're gonna know right away there's got to be something better than this. These centralized assholes that charge us up the ass on our fees, they make everything difficult. They censor everybody. They have a monopoly on the system. They make things harder for artists. And yet we continue to choose them. Like, why don't we rise up and tell them to fuck off the same way we are doing with this financial revolution that is blockchain, right? It's the same thing.
The thing about the fees from shit like that, it's like, it's not even about the cost. It's like, it's the fact that I'm paying someone such a gigantic fee for nothing almost. Like, it's not like I couldn't pay $30 for a ticket, but when I'm buying a $20 ticket and suddenly there's an $8 fee on top of it, I'm just like, I don't want to do this. Like, it just seems fucked,
I the people you want to support.
Yeah, and like, exactly, like, I would rather pay $40 to a small touring artist, because man, like, when you get to that level, it is a fucking bitch. Like, you're like, oh cool, I'm finally at the level where I can actually go on tour potentially as my full-time job. But the amount of work that it takes to do that, and like how low you have to make sure that you're selling tickets for, just to make sure that you're packing those venues regularly. You're touring all over the place, day in, day out, singing, performing, practicing, potentially, writing music during that time too. And traveling all over the world, potentially, hoping that you're doing, $25, $30 tickets. And it's just like the amount of effort it takes just so, you can try and do that. and then someone else who's just sitting there doing nothing gets to take like an extra $10 on top of the 20 that you're trying to make. It's like, it's fucked. And like, if you're not an event promoter, if you are the artist and you're trying to book your own tour, which is already a big fucking hassle, it's a lot easier if you can manage that kind of stuff yourself and take out the middleman. And really, one of the hardest, there's a lot of pain points to developing an industry disruption like this. One of them is, of course, that if Ticketmaster or other organizations like that have contracted with venues or with with casinos, that's a big thing here. To me, it's absolutely ridiculous that a casino, which is nearly a $1 billion industry per casino a lot of the time, and they're still using someone like Ticketmaster. Why? Because it's easier for them to, but they're locked into contracts for a long period of time. And you can't even go physically buy a ticket there. They'll be like, it goes through Ticketmaster still. So even if you come physically buy it right here with us, you're suddenly going to pay 40% on the fees. And it's just like, fuck, man. Like, you're buying a $200 ticket, that's expensive. Shows keep getting more expensive, as the dollar falls to shit. And it's just more expensive. And then suddenly you've got an $80 fee on top of that. And it's like, shit, man, like, I'm about to drop $1,000 on trying to take 2 people out to a show, which is that's not a thing most people can do right now in the economy, and it prevents the industry from functioning, because the more expensive it gets to do this kind of stuff, the harder it is to be an event producer, the harder it is to justify being like, yeah, I can afford to go to this show. Like, a lot of the time, if I trust a venue, I will buy a ticket to someone I have not seen before, because I'm like, yeah, I'll dump $15 on a chance that like this show is all right. I'll put $20 down on like a pre-sale for this because I've heard of them. Yeah, sure. If it sucks, I'm out $20. Because really, like, the good thing about that kind of stuff is a lot of people at bars and clubs and stuff like that will be making money on the bar. The event itself is it's the draw to get people to spend $200 at the bar when the ticket's $25, but you've got to get people there. And that's the other thing too. If you can sell out an event for, $15 to $20 a ticket, and then get them there, and each person's dropping 50 to 80 to $100, on drinks or, various other things like food and stuff like that at venues that offer that kind of stuff, that's where you actually make that money. So there's the less you need to spend on ticketing, or the less you need to spend on paying other people fees for doing basically nothing, the more, you have that ability to continue that cycle, which is important, because the less people have that justifies them for risking things, or going out and actually doing stuff, it's pretty easy to stay home and just watch TV. So you have to get people incentivized to actually get out there and do stuff. And the more it gets expensive, the less people have, that they're being paid regularly. Everything is more expensive now. So the less you can be extracting from those types of people, the better. And that works on the event promoter, that works on the venue, that works on the artists that are performing, that works on the customers, the ticket buyers, and all that kind of stuff. And it just really like helps support these industries that are, especially with AI becoming more prevalent, in the artist and musician communities, any kind of art at this point. It's funny that AI has started out by destroying all of the artistic aspects that we always hoped would be the one thing that it's like, yeah, it'll free us to do all the art that now AI comes and does all the creative writing. AI
comes
for
that idea, right?
Yeah, it's such a clusterfuck mix up of like how things would happen. It's like, I want this kind of stuff to come and do the menial tasks. I want it to do the chores. I want it to do the stuff that's not fun and doesn't bring me joy. And that's the first thing that it came for, which was, I think, a real shock to everybody. And there's a lot of benefits to it too. There's a lot of things that are very fun and neat about it. And it also allows gatekeeping of skill sets, whether you like that or not. I haven't spent 4 years, producing music. I haven't spent 15 years learning how to paint and sculpt. And, there's things now that allow me to do that. So there's a lot of benefits to that kind of stuff, but it also does allow for the arts to be much less focused on and much less valued, which is already hard because artists heavily undervalue themselves. Like people who are doing art or trying to do that kind of stuff professionally very much undervalue themselves, because when you're starting out and you're developing your skills and you're spending money physically on gear, or you're spending money on paint and canvases, all of that kind of stuff, like how do you sell something that sucks? I mean, painters especially are, artists, physical artists are able to have more value than like somebody that's producing music, because the music industry itself has changed so much that you basically cannot make money as a musician unless you are either a massive, massive draw, or, for some reason you're pumping out like physical media, because at least that is, something that people are desiring more now with vinyls and stuff like that. But typically as a musician, you can be touring and you can be pumping out like physical media and have supporters maybe on Patreon, but even that is still hard. And it's a massive, massive undertaking to do professionally. It's exhausting.
Yeah,
So
that's 100% accurate. And there's so many layers to that too. Like you have the AI component, and you also have like corporations like Ticketmaster that preserve these monopolies, and they're doing everything they can to take advantage of artists, right? And our goal with Cheers wasn't to put anybody out of business who's an artist. It's to put the corporations out of business that exploit the artists, right? Because AI is kind of this double-edged sword, and you've talked about this, right? Like there's things about it that make our lives easier. It's freed up a lot of time for me. It's made it possible for me to move and live a borderless life, now being in Georgia outside the United States. And also like just knowledge that you have at your fingertips, and the ability to like produce business plans, with editing and with modification and understanding that it's not perfect, but like it does free up a lot of time. But you also have people who don't understand art, who don't understand what it means to write something that's really creative and meaningful and comes from the heart, or to create a piece of artwork that actually is meaningful and represents a brand the right way. And you have people that just exploit these people, saying, well, I can have AI do that now. And I tend to think that that's like Ticketmaster's angle. And that's why like we're trying to eliminate the needs for these people, because when you dominate a market to the point that you can actually manipulate government to preserve your monopoly, which I believe Ticketmaster is at this point, right?
Right.
You no longer have a free market. When you have literally them controlling the price of tickets to such a degree that you don't even know when you're buying a ticket off the secondary market if you might even be paying from Ticketmaster itself. And I'll go ahead and tell a few of these stories here to kind of kick off this section of the discussion. We've covered a lot of this already, but like the monopoly story is no longer just a meme. In May 2024, the U.S. Department of Justice and 30 state and district attorneys general sued Live Nation and Ticketmaster, alleging illegal monopolization across key parts of the live concert ecosystem, and explicitly discussed higher fees, reduced innovation, and long-term exclusive contracts that lock out competitors. We talked about a lot of this with artists and with venues. The DOJ complaint described a self-reinforcing flywheel where dominance in promotion, venues, and ticketing feeds itself, making it harder for rivals to compete and easier to extract fees. Now, this example, it's kind of funny about this. It's like trying to visit Russia, and all the news and everything you find on Google AI is US telling you like you're gonna be in danger if you go there. Level 4 warning, you're gonna be locked up and thrown in the gulag or some shit. It's ridiculous, the propaganda you'll hear. But you'll go onto like Reddit threads and you'll hear about people who actually live there and deal with this. Similarly, some of the news about Ticketmaster has been buried, okay, because they're doing everything they can to try to create a cleaner image, but people are aware of their practices and they talk about it very openly. People who've worked with Ticketmaster, people who've bought tickets from them, news sources that have been buried through SEO manipulation. But a great example, damn it, Justin Bieber. His sold-out show at Madison Square Garden in 2012 is one example of Ticketmaster controlling and manipulating markets. When you dominate the secondary market, you can buy up your own tickets with no transparency regarding who holds the tickets in these secondary markets. And now you're scalping your own customers. How else do you think a show sells out in 30 seconds flat? At other shows like Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, of 14,000 tickets, only 1,001 seats were available for purchase when the general sale began. Who do you think gets these extra tickets? Insiders. And when you have insiders, it is not a free market. It does not benefit the people who are trying to attend the event and just buy a reasonable ticket, like a reasonably priced ticket. How are you going to see Justin Bieber for a reasonable price these days when they're a part of these monopolies? They don't really care that much about their fans. They only care about making as much money and exploiting people as much as they possibly can.
Yeah, the scalping market really sucks in that way. Like, I mean, I understand, the free market allows people to do that. And if there's, the desire for people to pay and own something. I mean, I remember the first time Burning Man sold out and I had a ticket for that. And, the ticket I paid like $180 for was suddenly going for $5,000. And I'm just like, I'm really, really disappointed. I promised this to one of my friends, but that is what it is, and people were willing to pay for that. But during that time, now tickets are not selling out for Burning Man, and people are paying 3 times more than that to buy one in advance, and then can't even sell them for a third of that price. So that market has kind of fluctuated in that way. It's something that really sucks because. And again, like one of the things that really sucks about it is you're preventing people who want that product or that service from actually enjoying it. It's like the collectible card market, like Magic the Gathering and Pokemon cards and stuff like that, especially right now. I mean, I've played Magic off and on since 95, and like there's so much shit that comes out now that's just like, I'm not going to pay for that shit. Like people are marking stuff up that's already absurdly priced. I mean, I remember back in the day, like a booster box was like $60. Now something comes out, they want $300 for it. People buy it all up and then they're, selling it for $700, $800, $900. And it's like, how the fuck is the average person even supposed to enjoy that? Like Pokemon is played by a lot of little kids. The fuck? Like people go and buy up all the cards and then are selling a pack for $100. And it's like, how the fuck is a kid supposed to actually play this stupid fucking game? Like how is a person like who just wants to have fun supposed to actually engage in this hobby when all the assholes are just buying it up to sell to other assholes? It's like when Magic the Gathering had their 30th anniversary, and to celebrate, they released packs that were $300 a piece. It's like $1,000 for 3 packs.
You're welcome, loyal fan base.
That's for the fans, exactly. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, there are a lot of people who can really enjoy that, And
yeah,
and
I
got such a horrid reputation because of that. It was probably honestly like that I can think of, besides Fallen Empires, one of the the biggest missteps that Magic the Gathering ever made. It was such Fallen Empires was not a fuck you to the fans. That was a misstep in a growing company with the demand that like was just not well understood at that point.
Yeah, and it kind of like it makes you not really incentivized to get involved in the game as much as you want to. I remember before I sold my house and like I was juggling a lot of things at the time, they finally came out with the Final Fantasy series. I was like, oh my God, I want to get like some of those 8 cards, you know what I mean? And in retrospect, I wish that, like, I think about it and I have to think about it like a capitalist. It's like, I'm going to buy 2 packs, right? And I'm going to sell one of them because I need money right now. But like, I'm going to at least buy one because I'll be able to sell the other one for double later. But the feeling is you're going to actually open that first pack and you're like, I wonder what's in the second pack, right? And like, but it's also like it makes that decision where you're like, oh, I don't know, I guess I'll let it go, and then you miss it. You miss this opportunity to get a series that you actually really wanted, and now you see people marking it up. Well, it's no different with tickets, right?
It takes away the fun of it too. I mean, like I used to rip packs all the time now, and like now that's just it's not as much of a thing because the things are just not the way they were back then, and the company is exploitative in a way. And then there's so much demand for it now. Back when, when I was first starting to play, there was a huge demand for the small population. There was a small population playing in a small production line. Now, that has changed. And like kind of looping back to what this has to do with, scalping really takes away from the fans, because then you're basically putting shit in the hands of like the super rich. It's like when a ticket for Burning Man is suddenly $5,000, how the hell is someone who has $150 supposed to be able to go enjoy the thing that they actually care about? Somebody who has $5,000 to spend on a ticket already has the funds and access to go do these things. But you've eliminated the ability for other people to actually go enjoy this experience. And the other thing too is, what would, for Burning Man, that is, it's a very expensive event to produce. And again, another one that the more popular it gets, the more the government wants, $5 million for the yearly contract. The more expensive it is to hire a bunch of like companies to do the toilets, and to get the just various contracts for like all of these different infrastructure things they have to do, to spend money on people who are like, oh, well, I don't want to really volunteer now. I want you to pay me a salary, So everything suddenly gets more expensive exponentially, the better that you look like you're doing. And meanwhile, what did you get for the fact that tickets went from $180 or something like that to $5,000 as that event promoter? Like, how much good would that have done for the people organizing and setting all this shit up? Like, that would have been really nice if the people who were volunteering could have gotten $20 an hour. You know what I mean? It's not able to have you're sitting out in the middle of the fucking desert for like a solid month cleaning up sparkles, and it's like, yeah, that would be nice if you hooked me up with like $80 or something,
Yeah, and if you had a record of ownership on these tickets where like every time they're resold, a percentage went back to the actual host, you could afford more of these things. And like it relates to two different things that you were talking about, right? Because you're talking about basically things like pricing of tickets, but also like how something, and Burning Man's a great example, it starts to get far away from like the original intention, because you have to deal with this element of making money. And once you integrate like somebody like Ticketmaster that's just inherently like, sorry, but they're trying to fuck everyone, it just makes everything impossible. But to talk about 2 points, and I'll jump around here a bit in my notes, but you have two things you touched on here. So you have like with Ticketmaster particularly, fees, opaque pricing, and consumer backlash are persistent. Ticketing fees and pricing practices have been under sustained public scrutiny, especially after high demand on sales like major tours, and lawmakers have had hearings about ticketing practices and consumer harm. The other aspect of this, right, and I really love to talk about Pearl Jam here, but there's other artists that have had huge problems with Ticketmaster.
String Cheese incident was a huge one. They sued Ticketmaster back in the day as well.
Is a classic example and control, because basically like they try to make their tickets affordable for event hosts or sorry, for attendees, right? Like they wanted to make their tickets affordable, and like Ticketmaster kept pushing them to charge more because they wanted to earn on their side with the fees and so many other things, even when they tried to host free events, which, well, at this present time, for example, our minimum price is $1. Think about like Ticketmaster, think about Live Nation and how they're this multi-billion-dollar entity that was making millions off artists like Pearl Jam, right? It wasn't a big deal for somebody who's already doing a lot of business with them, for a centralized company, to have a couple free events or something like that. They wouldn't fucking have it. And in the end, Pearl Jam lost, right? And Pearl Jam had to kind of succumb to this system that wasn't about why they became artists. They weren't performing shows just to gouge everybody out of as much money as they possibly could. In fact, they wanted their shows to be affordable. They wanted people to be able to go. You've talked about this before. You're like, if I could make just as much money doubling the fee and having half the people there versus doing half the fee and having a packed show, I'd rather if people have a memory. I'd rather more people can go. I'd rather the bar is happy because they made more money. I'd rather if someone's going to pay more money for a ticket, it go to me, but so that I can actually do more for the people putting on the show, the DJs. I can actually afford to put on a better show. If you're gonna pay me $20, I don't want another $8 or $20 going to Ticketmaster. Let me use it for the fucking show so I can put on a better
let me use it to like upgrade my laser system. Let me use it to, you know, upgrade my equipment that I have. Let me use it to upgrade the sound for the people. Let me use it to tip out the people that might be volunteering. You know, I mean, like, volunteering was a massive part. Like, we would not have been able to do what we did back in the day without the volunteers. 100%, not at all. And like, it's a labor of love, even on like, throwing events fucking sucks. Like, it is so hard. There's so much to do. And I mean, even when you get to a level, I'm sure like, you know, something like EDC, and you can pretty much hire out the vast majority of every single task at that point, you still have to hire out all these people and vet all these companies. And if anyone fucking falls apart, like if any part in that falls to shit, you know, what do you do? Like, what do you do if something big happens? Like, there was that festival, like, I think last year, where the stage fucking caught on fire, you know, and what happened? Like, people had to come together to support that, you know, and that's what used to happen all the time back in the scene, because even when there was crews that didn't really like get along necessarily or like always agree on stuff, if shit went down, we were all there for each other to like pick up the slack and help shit happen because we cared. You know, there was people lining up to volunteer for 10 or 15 hours of their time with no pay at all because they cared. So that's like the kind of people that you have involved in that kind of stuff. And why, like, if you build a good reputation, people will be there to just like support you because the mission is there. But it's like you have this barrier of the costs that go to a company that gives you basically nothing. And allowing that to happen allows you to be better to your community and to support your community in the way they support you too.
I agree 100%. And that's like a really good point. I'd say what's really great too is like from everything I wanted to cover today, like we already covered a lot of things that we want to include in the future with regards to Cheers. The last two items I wanted to include, and we can kind of like have a general discussion until we wrap. But you know, we talked a bit about like monopolies, and a big part of that is exclusivity. So we have like exclusive contracts, and gatekeeping are central to entities like Ticketmaster. The DOJ described long-term exclusive venue ticketing deals as a barrier that can prevent venues from switching to better or cheaper technology like Cheers, reducing competitive pressure to improve customer service and innovation. So it's very anti-free market, a lot of what they're doing, and it's what's causing prices to be so prohibitive and difficult for smaller scale promoters, or even promoters who really care about independent artists, emerging scenes, like you know, and to your point as well, like that hampers people like us who in it for the money. We're in it because of the community. We're in it because along the way. I mean, that's something that's definitely inherent and is inherent to the raves we built. Plur, all the deals of what that was supposed to be before it got ruined by really shitty assholes who made it something it wasn't. Like that was actually supposed to be about people actually coming together to help each other out. Like regardless if you were a competing promoter or you were more into hard style and you got into fights sometimes, you know, like people would help each other out across like these complete, like, my God, like some of the people that you would connect with and be in the same room with, people that you wouldn't normally see or associate with in the ordinary world. But like we love those people and they were our friends. And like this is the kind of culture that we want to create with Cheers that empowers artists, right? And the last part of that I want to cover is really the privacy and data risk, which is not theoretical when you have to give all your data to these other companies, to third parties. I mean, we talk about like the government and the central banking system and how much in debt they are, right? And yet these people are telling us what to do when they can't even manage their own accounts, right? Well, similarly, all the people who are supposed to be in charge of our privacy and data, how fucking often are they losing it? The credit bureaus, Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, how often are they getting hacked and actually losing data that's supposed to protect us, to figure out our fucking credit scores, the amount of money that we can access to run businesses, to get credit limits, to get a fucking car or house. My God, they're getting hacked all the time. But these are the people who are in charge of us, who govern us, right? Well, Ticketmaster has faced major headlines around alleged data exposure and breach reporting, reinforcing how centralized platforms create big honeypots of customer information. Cheers does not collect this information. There is also broader concern about biometric and facial recognition expansion at venues. Multiple venues and vendors have explored facial recognition entry systems, and artists and fans have publicly pushed back on privacy grounds, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. In the 1960s, this is really interesting for some historical context, but the FBI and CIA conducted surveillance. This is direct from our blog, our latest article. The FBI and CIA conducted surveillance on folk music gatherings during the folk revival, tracking artists like Pete Seeger under suspicions of subversion. Even the 1960s pop band, the Monkees, the fucking Monkees, had an FBI file. One band member is suing to see the full dossier of what the FBI collected on their concerts. If a Monkey show could end up in government files, it is clear that authorities have long kept tabs on live events. So again, just one more reason why would you not want to support a platform that protects your privacy by not asking for it in the first place, right? How often do governments and people say, well, it's for your own best interest that you give us this information, even though we lose it, even though we're fucking criminals, you need to give us this information without your consent or you're the criminal, right? Well, it's not like that with Cheers, and I think that that's something worth saying as well.
Yeah, agreed.
Good shit. Well, I will go ahead and wrap here with basically just a call to action for people who will leverage our platform, because we are going to be doing our soft launch. Call it a soft launch because, we're not as confident as a hard launch just yet, but we're starting with a soft launch because we believe in ourselves. We want you to come to the platform and use it, and just tell us what you think of it, how we can improve it. Start with something small. Do a local birthday party. Okay?
We're just gonna be feeling. We're gonna be feeling stuff out and trying to, it's all like, I don't really know what I'm doing just yet, but you got to get in there. You got to get in there and play around.
Learning our way around there.
Yeah.
We believe in ourselves, but we're a little soft at the moment.
Yeah, you can't figure out the industry nipple play like right away.
We'll get there. But now that we so once Cheers is live for use, which again we'll have our soft launch on Wednesday, we are seeking event hosts to leverage our platform. If you would like to be one of the first users of Cheers, you don't have to ask us for permission. Just go to cheers.finance, connect your MetaMask wallet, and get started. If you need help, use the support and contact buttons on the website. You can also follow me and Cheers Finance on X. My handle's DeFi Fry and also Cheers Finance, which you can also find me on Telegram. I will respond to requests on Telegram as well under DeFi Fry if you have absolutely any questions. So not just the website, not just our X, you can reach us on Telegram. Cryptopher Robin, if you'd like to stay in contact or share any details about yourself, I'll go ahead and let you close out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like I said, I'm not on Twitter as much as I used to be. It's gotten to be a pretty negative space that I'm just not on too much, but I'd like it to be less negative. I used to enjoy it. But yeah, I mean, you can see right there, my name is Cryptopher Robin. And yeah, I'll check it here and there. I check it, frequent enough where I wouldn't leave you on unread for, more than a couple days probably. So yeah, feel free to at me, and I'm happy to chat about all sorts of stuff, artists, promoters, whatever, anyone involved in the space. I love connecting with people, and yeah, I love getting in ridiculous long conversations about things that I enjoy and the things that I'm passionate about. So yeah, feel free to hit me up.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, Cryptopher Robin. This has been a really wonderful discussion. I'm really happy to have you on with Cheers Finance. It's really great to bring you back and us to be doing DeFi Expectations again. It's like back in time again, and I love it. I'm hoping we can do more shows together. In spite of this ridiculous time difference and you not being an early bird, but we will figure it out.
That's all right. I'll make sure we can do some when I haven't gone to bed at some point.
Be staying up all night, you know.
Yeah. I'll be a little more punch drunk at that point. Something like that, anyways.
No worries. I'm looking forward to it. Well, thank you again. Thank you guys for watching. Exciting episode of DeFi Expectations, and we look forward to next time.
Thank you very much, you guys. Have a good one.